All right, everybody, let's try this again. Ben Parr. Now you can come up. The Shaker Brothership. Welcome to the Startup Grind hot seat. I mean, this seat, I don't know if you knew this, but it's one of the most famous chairs in Silicon Valley. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
We've had guys like Tony Conrad. We had Tony last month. We had MG Siegler.
MG is a nice guy.
Nice guy. Had some nice things to say about you. And we've had.
I heard they said something or something. I was discussed for some reason.
Oh, at the event?
Yeah.
Well, you don't subscribe to? You don't watch it every month?
Well,
you just say you do.
I know.
You missed that piece.
Yeah. Absolutely, but I just missed it.
I think he said some good things about you. Did he not say something good about you?
Oh no, I have a great relationship with MG.
Yeah, he likes you. He really likes you. I was surprised how much he likes you. Not in a weird way or anything.
I'll let him know.
Let me introduce Ben Parr. Ben is a product of the Midwest, born and raised in a small town in Illinois. Attended Northwestern, graduated in political science and human nature.
Science and human culture, political science, and business.
I screwed that up. Ben has lived all over the world. He's lived in Croatia. He's lived in Thailand. What I find very unique about Ben is actually an entrepreneur first, and has been involved in a number of different entrepreneurial ventures, and he also happens to be a tech writer for possibly the largest tech blog as per page views on the web. No? You dispute that?
Largest independent technology news website focused on digital. The truth,
I screwed that up too.
I'll explain it this way: we're more than just technology now.
That's true. I actually want to talk about that. We're gonna get there. So tell us about. So you graduated from Northwestern. Did you plan to be an entrepreneur? Did you plan to be something else? Like what were you gonna do when? What was your grand scheme when you graduated from college? What were you gonna do?
I was gonna be an astronaut, but NASA said no. Hell no.
They shut it down. So.
Oh yeah, they shut me down. I cried for weeks. So let's see. Recapping my life. I was born in Princeton, Illinois, and why am I doing that? Northwestern. So I went to Northwestern, and I originally went in as an astronomy major. Actually, I was going to go into research into space and science and focus on getting, actually wrote in my essay that my goal was to build a commercial space station. That is still my final life goal. That I have 4 of them, and that is my final one.
Do you want to share any of the other ones?
I'm sure I'll share them throughout this entire conversation.
All right,
Building a great company is also one of them.
Okay, that's a good
one. But I realized quickly that I didn't want to be on the research end of science. I wanted to be on the management and business end of science. So that's where the entrepreneurship, I guess, comes in. And I built Northwestern's entrepreneurship curriculum. I became president of Northwestern's entrepreneurship group. I created one of its first entrepreneurship competitions called Entrepreneur Idol, actually. And we had audience voting, the whole bit. And now it's like a 10, they grew it. It was just one school, and it was a 2-school thing. And now it's like a 10, 15 school operation with tens of, they're giving away tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's nice to see people taking the mantle and going. But I'm an entrepreneur first and foremost. I did entrepreneurship curriculum, and that's the direction I was going. The journalism thing is kind of a fluke, really.
Yeah. So talk to us about that. How did you? Well, let's talk about you being an entrepreneur first. So you've done a number of different ventures. You worked on some Facebook apps. You worked on some startups. What did you learn? Tell us something you learned. Tell us about a dark day in Ben Parr's entrepreneurial life. Do you remember a dark day? Have you had dark days as being an entrepreneur?
I feel like I need low sad music and storm. Yeah. I need rain.
We can probably do that. Do we have that?
That one works too, I guess.
That was way sad.
So, all right, dark time story. So, when I first left Northwestern, 2008, I first thing I did was I worked with a Facebook application company. I joined two of my entrepreneurial mentors in building a Facebook application company. This was during, I guess you call the boom when Facebook apps were doing very, very well. And we were building this app called Friend Quilts, which took YouTube videos, Flickr photos, all those different types of media, and you could turn them into these beautiful mosaics, and you could like create a mosaic for an event, like maybe a sports game, or maybe a tribute to an athlete, or maybe just to commemorate a birthday party. And it was like beautiful, and it was easily shared, all that kind of thing. And we got some initial traction, but not all that much. And what we learned, and this is the lesson I learned product-wise, is that your users have to get the value out of the product almost instantly. If they do not get the value out of the product within seconds, they're going to jump ship and go to something else where they're going to get the value. And that was one of the hard lessons. There were a couple other hard lessons, but that's probably the biggest takeaway I took from that, because eventually Facebook changed how apps went viral, and our startup failed, as did many other Facebook application startups, and I moved on.
And so you worked on the Facebook application, and then what? And then tell us about this story of getting to Mashable. So you joined Mashable in 2008. Is that right?
I joined as a part-time writer in 2008. I had a full-time job at a web health company called spine-health.com. Okay. And it was, again, I joined one of my entrepreneurial mentors at that company. We're going to try to build it into, I guess, a next WebMD. And it went fine for a while, but eventually my mentor left. And I'm not really all that into health, and I don't have any back pain, so I didn't really care too much. I can tell you everything about sciatica or herniated discs, though. I still remember everything.
Talk about a sad music sound that we need now. That's when we need it. Talk about sciatica.
But I mean, the site did a lot for a lot of people that have like a really, really debilitating set of diseases. But I didn't have that passion for it. So I decided long before that I was going to move, and it didn't have any job or anything. I was actually looking at product jobs and startup jobs in the Valley, and I was going to move no matter what. Only a few days before I moved, actually, Mashable came to me and was like, "We want to have you full-time as an editor," and offered me a job, and I'm like, "We'll see how this goes." And here I am now.
Yeah, so at the time, I mean, what, in terms of where it is today, what percentage would you put out? Was it 1% of the amount of traffic that you get today? Was it 10%? I mean, how much has it grown in that space?
I'd say it's grown more than tenfold at least since I've joined. It's grown exponentially. It's been amazing. I mean, it was well less than 10 people when I joined. Now we were 60 plus.
Yeah.
And growing.
And what do you think? I mean, what was the catalyst to getting, for Mashable to be, this blog that Peter Cashmore is running or writing on to? I mean, was there a single event that, like, hey, you know what, this is something real. This could be, was there one event that kind of started to get it on that path to where it is today?
I believed it was real at the very beginning. It's a steady stream. When you we threw our first Mashable Awards over in Las Vegas, and having I remember walking through the audience and Chameleonaires here, hey, what's up? And getting more and more inbound. I remember getting a call 3 minutes is do you want to interview Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore in 5 minutes? I'm like, okay.
No.
It was 7 p.m. Yes, of course I did. It was a very lovely conversation.
They're lovely people.
Have you ever met them in person?
I have not met Ashton Kutcher. I haven't. So it's definitely on my, you have your 4 things. I have 3, and that's one of them.
Just go to a Y Combinator demo day. He's always there.
So was Mashable always this social media site? I mean, feels like to me one of the big things that really helped Mashable was that it got on the suggested user list very, very early, and they had all this great content, but that to me was this big stamp of, hey, this is some. I mean, it was one of the very first. I could be wrong here, but it's one of the very first news sites I recognized that was on that list, and it seemed like it kind of grew exponentially, after that.
The suggested user list was an interesting time. Yeah, it definitely helped us get more visibility, but I think at the same time we had a very, very strong social strategy from the very beginning. We don't just create we don't just write news. We also create evergreen content that useful content, tips on how to better use social tools, tips how to get the most out of different products, tips for entrepreneurs, tips for development. We believe in giving our readers more than just the news. We want to give our readers different insights, different advice, different ways they can really utilize the digital world. And a lot of our readers are marketers or digital influencers, and we want to give them like the tools and the power to create change.
Can you confirm that Peter Cashmore's beard is actually real? Is that real hair, or is that a spray on?
I have never felt Pete Cashmore's beard on purpose to find out whether or not it was real. I will make the assumption that yes, it is real.
Okay. So Mashable has gone. So it's gone through this kind of evolution, right? It was this tech blog. It still is, but I mean, it was very focused on tech to begin with, and now it's kind of evolved. Can you talk a little bit about that?
We recently launched a redesign of Mashable, and it includes a new tab navigation. We have new channels. We have social media. We have technology. We have business. We have entertainment, and we have U.S. News and World. And you'll see more content for all those different channels as we expand. I mean, the goal is to be a source of information for the digital world. How is digital changing all these different industries? How is digital impacting your lives? How can you better utilize digital?
And I mean, who in the room reads Mashable? Can you raise your hand?
It's fine if you don't. We'll just take you out later. We'll deal with you.
If you really want to feel good about yourself, how many of you read VentureBeat? Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. That was more than I thought. So there's been some criticism, right? So like, I mean, Jolie Odell had this, pretty widely read, review of her leaving Mashable and some of her thoughts around that. And I think that's been something that I've heard quite a bit, is that, Mashable seems to have, for better or for worse, it's kind of gone into the space of we talk about everything, right? We talk kind of like, I don't know what a good example would be, maybe HuffPost or something, where it's like it's very, very broad. Have you guys have you experienced that? I mean, what is your take? Do you deeply believe that this has been a very positive thing for the blog? Do you miss how it was before, being more focused? Do you what is your thought?
Our goal number one is to provide value for our readers, and our readers are interested and have always expressed interest in beyond just hard technology or social media. There's a lot to be said about what is the impact of digital in the entertainment world. What is the impact of digital on politics? And I think, like, for example, in the next year, I think we're going to see a huge emphasis on that as the campaign rolls out. I think that I love that Mashable reaches so many people and has so many different and unique voices, and that we have such a diverse reader base. We have a very diverse reader base worldwide. It's more mainstream. It's not focused on Silicon Valley. It's not focused on insider baseball. We don't do insider baseball. We focus on the news that our readers find interesting. We focus on tips and information and content that will help them better utilize digital, and we will continue expanding as we look to grow further.
What so it seems like, especially recently in the last couple of months, that blogging has, like, especially tech blogging, it's been all over the news, right? And it feels like like blogging to me used to be like this thing that it was just this nice thing. It was like fencing for sports. It's like, white gloves.
I never heard blogging compared to fencing.
Yeah, well, you've never been to the Start of Crime before. I do it all the time.
Someone give me a sword. I'm kind of scared now.
So like, it was this gentleman's sport, right? It was like, hey, I'll write about my stuff, you write about your stuff, high fives. And now it's like MMA right now. I mean, it's like you've got, VentureBeat yelling at TechCrunch, you got TechCrunch yelling at All Things D, you got Mashable just doing their thing, not worrying about anybody else. I mean, what is your take? How is blogging in the tech world evolving, and is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Um, just like any other, I think all these different publications have a place and have a different role, and they've all made contributions. TechCrunch, VentureBeat, all of them make great contributions, especially like to the entrepreneurship world and to the technology world in general. And Mashable, we make a different contribution to it. I think having different voices is a great thing. Yes, it can be entertaining to watch some of the little squabbles, but I think in the end, I think those are just most distractions. I think the best stuff is really people breaking stories, people writing really insightful information, people really analyzing maybe what Facebook did, people analyzing what Apple is going to do, us keeping these companies on their toes, because we have the ability and we have the responsibility to talk about what kind of impact will Facebook have on privacy, what kind of impact will the patent wars have on the industry, and those are very important issues that we need to focus on.
Where do you put the line? Where is the editorial integrity line with you specifically? Mashable for a while was rumored to be in talks with AOL to be acquired. This was maybe a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago. Let's say that happened. Where does Mashable draw the TechCrunch line? Where's the Ben Parr line on if you had been acquired by AOL, if you'd been acquired by Google, would you write a very critical story about Google on that blog?
The Ben Parr line can be found somewhere near the equator. I think somewhere near in the south end of Mexico. It's like the Bermuda Triangle.
You'd write it in Spanish?
I wrote it in an ancient language that nobody knows. It's called Klingon. To answer your question for real, I mean, editorial integrity sport. And I think just for us, it's we're not out to pick fights, so that's not what we do. That's not what we've ever done.
Yeah.
We focus on what our readers really want. They don't want insider baseball. They want real content. They don't want drama. And so, really, the editorial line is plain and simple. Do our readers want, and what's best for our readers? And I think if publications follow that line, then good things generally result. It's the same thing like you trust in your users. Your users are right.
But these stories get insane amounts of page views, right? I mean, like Michael Arrington's first.
I think a story about Facebook's big changes makes a lot more page views than a story about a technology figure that's only known in the technology industry. Facebook is known by billions of people. Michael Arrington is known by millions. There's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. At the same time, the interesting thing about this, and this, I think it's appropriate that we have you this time, is that this whole experience is one of the few things that my non-tech friends are actually interested in. I'll get the, hey, what did you think about the new Facebook redesign? Or, my mom will be like, man, have you seen these Groupon deals? You get it. And then it's like, you get the random, my grandma is asking me about, did you see about this Mike Arrington, what he did this last week? It's like, how do you know about this stuff? And I think like, that's how big this has become. And that's, and I think it's like, it's built, and it's not just TechCrunch, it's all things D, and then last night, VentureBeat's trying to get into the mix. And so I think it's great that you guys don't. And if the question is they're doing it for a reason. I would think not just to be drama. I think they're doing it because it produces amazing page views. And or not. Maybe they're just.
I don't know what their page views are on that. Maybe it is. Their audiences are different. It wouldn't generate page views for us. And I mean, while it's sure some people are going to notice that, and some people have noticed that, I think it's a fleeting thing compared to the bigger technology stories of the day. So we focus on that. We focus on what Apple's doing, what HP's doing, what the great startups that you're all building. I think that's a bigger focus. I mean, that's just me personally. Like, yes, it's fun to look at drama and go like, but I think it diverts the focus. I really do.
What other than yourself, name 2 or 3 important or influential bloggers or journalists that you follow that you think do good work?
I can't name myself. Damn it. Kara Swisher comes to mind of all things D, and I have fundamental respect for her, for ability to grab stories, for ability to analyze, for ability to say what it is. I think a lot of times journalists can be too polite to say, in terms of they don't ask the tough questions enough times. Some people. And Kara asks the tough questions, and she asks the tough questions of entrepreneurs. She'll ask the tough questions of execs. She'll ask the tough questions of herself and her own staff.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm in love with my own team, but I'm not going to name any individual because they're all great. But that's they all really
they're all
are
watching.
great.
I'm sure
they really are all great. I'm thinking. I mean, there's a couple shining spotlights in different organizations. And I think it's just, I think really what you see in the end is just great content gets rewarded with. You get a lot of readers, you get a lot of readers, you get a lot of followers, you get that kind of thing. You'll see stories broken by Nick Bilton in the New York Times or MG Siegel or TechCrunch, and I think it's best you get some very smart and very interesting contributions from. Those type of people who are willing to ask tough questions.
So here's one of my toughest questions: should we really? This is about Facebook. We're going to talk about one of the leading tech pundits on Facebook, I would say, very knowledgeable.
By
on
the
Facebook.
way, very random. Oh, actually, you finished.
Yeah, go ahead. No, please.
Very random. Wasn't the first question supposed to be asked by a woman? You said on Twitter. What was that about?
Kat, you want to ask? Oh no, it wasn't Kat. Is Tina here? Dang it, Tina.
Sorry. We'll keep going. I was curious about that.
Yeah. You put on Formspring. Do you remember what you put on Formspring? It came from that. It said what question do you want people to ask
question.
You? Yes.
Oh, I thought it was
Same.
funny. Someone asked me on Formspring what everybody would say to me. And I think I said, I wish everyone would say, "Will you marry?" Or was it?
Yeah. What question would you wish
will you
people
marry
would
me?
ask
And then
you?
I would have my pick of the litter.
Yeah. You said you wanted somebody to ask you every single day. If you had one person ask you every single day, then you'd have a lot of choices.
Yes.
And we were going to do that. We were going to do that, but my plant is not here.
Aww.
So I think what we should do probably is at the end when we actually take questions, we should probably allow, if anyone wants to, male or female, I suppose.
We're equal opportunity here.
No judgments. So, feel free to ask Ben, and I would imagine it won't help with coverage because you guys aren't swayed by those kinds of things, right?
Yeah, we're not. We're not.
No.
Although my heart will be warm and fuzzy, and then I'll be confused and scared.
So tell us. Back on this line of people want to hear about Facebook, they want to hear about Apple, they want to hear about HP. Do we really need to know what Mark Zuckerberg is eating or what he isn't eating? Do you feel like this is something that people yearn to know? Like this falls in the stream of it gets great page views. Like Mark Zuckerberg killed a bison. That's like a great, man, I gotta click on that. Like I have to know. Did he really seriously in Palo Alto in the city limits kill a bison? I don't even, that's definitely not legal. You can't.
I don't know if he
you
did.
You can't even cut down a tree, without permission from 100 people. So that, there are these other stories about their updates and things like that. So I leave it to you. Do we need to know what Zuckerberg is eating for dinner? Is this a story worth reporting? You can be honest. No judgments. Like I said a minute ago.
I think it's not about really that it's an interesting, fun title. I had to go with it. It's more they care about Zuckerberg. They care about this. He is a celebrity figure now.
Yep.
He is this titan figure, and people are interested in what makes him tick. And I think the story is not he killed a bison. Really, the story is he is doing this personal spiritual thing to only eat what he kills himself, and he's doing it for with good intentions, not to understand what he has taken and is taking in. I think that's interesting in terms of understanding who Mark Zuckerberg is as a person, and I think a lot of us care who Mark Zuckerberg is as a person. He's someone that a lot of us look up to. He's someone that we can learn from, and he
makes a good bison burger.
Well, I don't know that. I've never tried one of his bison burgers.
You should.
Have you?
It's a new hot product. It's a product extension they're going to do at Facebook. Zuckerberg's bison burgers.
Someone should make a Facebook
Copy
fan
editor
page
right
for
here.
that.
Hire him, guys. Hire this guy.
That's a Facebook fan page waiting to be made. I'll wait while someone goes and types that
It will
up
be
on a-
done by the end of this meeting, I'm sure. What are your thoughts on the new profile design? Is it as big a deal as people are saying? Do you think it is fundamentally changing things? What are your thoughts on it?
It's a big deal in terms of it changes how we live our lives on the internet, because it is not just a stream of updates. It is now an archive of everything you've ever done on the internet. Imagine looking at a timeline 20 years from now and seeing the things you did when you were 20, the photos
Who
that
you
were
poked.
tagged. Did I keep that data?
They do.
Oh, good.
They most certainly do. And how much you played Farmville. I'm like legitimately concerned about that particular stat.
Here's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in someone from my generation, when that one of us eventually becomes president of the United States. What historians are going to do when they're looking back through it all? They're going to have so much information, which I actually think is a good thing, because that gives us a much more complete picture of these great figures. Just imagine if you could look and figure out what kind of life events made Steve Jobs. These little details really do matter. Maybe we really don't need to know that he ate bison burger on Tuesday, March 5th, but we do want to. But it gives us a general trend. If you've ever, I don't know if any of you, how many of you have activated the new timeline profiles? How many of you have not even seen them really yet? So when you look at this thing, instead of just like a profile.
How many of you know that Michael Arrington left TechCrunch?
Oh. Do yourself a favor and look at the new profiles, because that is a completely different way of understanding your friends, because you go down and you can see who they friended, what kind of things they did, the kind of status updates they made. It is this progression, and you can get lost in one of your friends' timelines for hours. But I think really Facebook wants to be this historical archive. When I saw it, they have a map feature where you want to where it maps everything you've checked in. Now I want to check in all the time. Like Foursquare check-ins don't count towards Facebook check-ins. Now I really wish it did, because right now I want to port all my Foursquare check-ins into it, because I want to complete that map. Yeah. I want to be able to say, here are the places that I traveled over years. I want to be able to look and be like, oh, I remember when I went there, and then click on maybe that trip I went to Croatia, or that trip I went to Japan, and click on that, and I can get all the pictures that I took there, all the tags that happened there, the status updates. Imagine that kind of power.
Yeah.
It creates a real scrapbook. It is a database of our lives.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I mean, they've kept all this data for better or for worse, but it now, some of it like that piece is really cool, right? To know all those different places you've checked in or you've been, that's a really cool piece of data. I mean, to know who you friended and when. I mean, there could be some really interesting things about that, and who knows what else they have in there that they haven't released yet. But at the moment, I mean, those seem pretty cool. What in terms of mobile startups and mobile right now, what apps are you using the most? What excites you about mobile at the moment?
What apps am I using the most? I need to pull up my iPhone and check that. Wait, just curious. Who's an iPhone user? Raise your hand. Dear God. Android. Windows Phone?
BlackBerry. Where's the BlackBerry guy?
BlackBerry?
Oh, we have two.
Some other phone.
Woo!
What
OS.
That's the copy editor. Do not hire that guy. I'm telling you, you will regret it.
That's like dinosaur bones. It's like a fossil. So I'm excited that in terms of the mobile space, there's a lot of very interesting applications. People are really starting to figure out what you really can do with a phone. Being able to see the world through photos, being able to soon pay with your phone, that just is going to happen more and more. Being able to exchange contact information through phones, being able to turn it into your personal gaming device. There's a lot of cool things that phones can do. Phones are going to really replace the majority of the time we spend in front of laptops. We're going to be living in a mobile world where we're going to be able to do most of our work through these devices, and there's a lot more coming. There's a lot of different interfaces. It's not going to be a touchscreen forever. It's going to be much more advanced NUI interfaces where we can interact on the fly. There's a lot that still can be done. I also am excited that there's I think there's more competition coming. I'm an iPhone user. I love my iPhone. The iOS is frankly the best user interface out of all mobile phones right now. But I've seen, like, I have Windows Phone as well, and actually I think Windows Phone is actually a very, very good interface. I think Android's getting there. Android is very open and allows you to customize a lot, and I think there's more and more coming.
Why didn't you say anything nice about WebOS?
I don't know. I don't know much about the dinosaurs.
What about speaking of Apple? What do you think in 10 years from now? Steve Jobs was the CEO in 2011. In 2021, do you think we'll still be clamoring for Apple products? Do you think we'll still be lining up at the stores?
I have no clue about that one. The only truth I can say about that is that all empires rise and fall. There is no exception. There has never been an exception in our history. There will be a time when the sun sets on the Apple empire. I don't know if that's 10 years from now or 100 years from now. But right now, Apple is right where it needs to be, and is not only dominating the smartphone market, but the tablet market is making big inroads in the laptop market, and is going to definitely jump into future markets in the near future. I don't know where it'll be 10 years from now. It's very, very, very tough to stay on top like that for very, very long.
Do we have any questions from the audience? We have a Startup Grind app. You're welcome to submit questions through there, which I can see. But if since I didn't give the shout at the beginning, is there anyone here that has a question for Ben?
Your question should come in the form of an interpretive dance.
You have been watching our videos.
Or a sing-along. Is there a Will You Marry Me sing-along? I was thinking row, row, row your boat.
Yeah, go ahead, and I'll probably repeat it so we can get on the video.
So what is if you have to break down your user base, especially looking at people from startup leaders out to the corporate market, people who are tracking or reading your content for how digital might impact your companies, how would you break up your reader base?
So how would you break up Mashable's reader base?
I can't get into the specific numbers, mostly because I don't have the reports in front of me right now. But it's a very, beyond, especially for a technology-focused publication, it's very diverse. It's both startup and corporate. You find a lot of there's a lot of marketers from a lot of big agencies, and there's a lot of PR. There's a lot of startup founders that read us. There's a lot of technologists. There's a lot of developers. We're one of the publications, very few, where our gender ratio is almost even, and you don't find that in most technology-focused publications. I'm proud of our very diverse users and our very diverse reader base.
Do you think that
What's your name, by the way? Everyone say your name when you ask a question. I like hearing. Hey, Brandon, what's up?
Good. Just hanging out.
I like the hat.
Thank you. I wanted to sit next to the other person who had a
Yeah, that's a little... What are you guys planning? Are you guys scheming something?
Don't ask.
Dude, see,
The overthrow of the
they're-
startup grind.
They're perfect for the interpretive dance.
You'll find out soon enough. But I was wondering, you talk so much about entrepreneurship and then kind of got into journalism. Do you find yourself being pulled back, especially as, it seems like things are picking up again and there's a lot of, more opportunities, it seems, out there with the, kind of the progress that we've made in, mobile and tablets and everything. There's just so many more platforms to launch a venture. Do you find yourself being pulled back in, or do you enjoy it?
Let me ask the question again. Are you getting sucked? Do you ever feel the urge to get sucked back into being a glamorous founder?
If you are in the business of glamour and you want to be a startup founder, you're in the wrong business. Glamour doesn't come to very many startup founders, just as glamour doesn't come to very many actresses or actors. The truthful answer is yes. I love what I do. but I also love building things, and there will be a point when I go back and I go build things, and I work on things now. I can't talk about them right now, but I work on a couple different projects, and play with cool ideas and work with some very, very smart and very amazing people. Um, and but I guess I think I'll always write in some way, in some fashion, and I think I'll always be involved in entrepreneurship in some fashion. The ratio of which it is will change over time, unless I like make $1 billion, in which case I'm just going to live in a boat.
This question's from Bernie from our app. Where's Bernie? Hey, Bernie.
Hi, Bernie.
Thanks, Bernie. What's your take on Amazon Fire as a platform that rivals Facebook and Google Plus?
Amazon Fire doesn't really rival Facebook or Google Plus, in my opinion.
As an aggregator of content and audience.
As an aggregator of content, okay, that's interesting. Amazon, Jeff Bezos did his best impression of Steve Jobs, and he did a very good job. Very good price point, good platform. Obviously not as strong. It's not as powerful as an iPad, but what do you expect with something that is less than half the price of an iPad? But I think really you saw they really thought about the ecosystem. This is an Android device, but it doesn't really it doesn't run Android. It runs Amazon. The thing is Amazon. It's an Amazon ecosystem. It just used part of the guts from Android to build it. And they're going to build out this Amazon ecosystem, this Amazon interface, and all the future tablets and all the future stuff they do. That's true. They are really building a platform. And they're trying to be a media platform. They're not trying to be a social platform. They're trying to be a media platform. They want to be the primary consumption experience for your movies, your music, your TV shows, for all of that. And they've done a good job so far, but they're also competing against Apple and, in a way, Facebook with the Spotify and you saw there's a lot of media in the Facebook event, a shocking amount of media. I think there is kind of a battle for attention for that.
Follow up?
Yeah, so I'm going to follow up. Have you read Chris Espinosa's analysis of the Amazon Fire and how, because they're serving everything out on the web, they're basically going to be able to disintermediate Google?
Oh, so let's talk about that story. Yes, I did read it. Amazon. One of my favorite things about one of the smartest things I think Amazon did with the Fire is their Silk browser. The browser is half on the tablet and half in the cloud. It ports all the difficult stuff, all the stuff that takes up all the processing power to the cloud and then sends it back, which makes for a faster browser. But that also means there's a lot of data on Amazon servers. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I'm going to definitely ask them about it. But I definitely think that just like any other company, data is king. Data is always king. Data gives you more power. Data gives you more information, and data gives you more power, more ability to make decisions, more ability to figure out what users want. Are they going to be competing with Google in that way? I mean, I don't know. That could eventually happen. I certainly will never use... I can't imagine using a search engine from Amazon versus one from Google, but you never know. But the thing is about these big technology companies, they're all competing in different areas in some way. I mean, Google's competing with Amazon in terms of the music players, but they're not competing in terms of e-commerce as much, but they might be more. And they ally in certain things, and they become enemies in certain things. It's very, very complicated relationships between all these technology companies.
Constantine.
Yeah, my name is Constantine. It's regarding Facebook. Looks like you are a partner with one, and question I have regarding face recognition software and keeping track record for everybody. And next day they're gonna show me wallpaper when you didn't see. I mean, is this the right direction where social media are going? Can you just
Yeah. Is Facebook learning? Does Facebook know too much about us? Basically, what you're asking, right?
Yeah, like in Russia we say, yes, you cannot buy friends, but you can sell them,
Oh, we say that here too. Trust me, Constantine. I use that almost as much as I use the fencing analogy. Yeah.
Well, your freedom is to say I don't want to use Facebook and not sign up and
Can't.
turn off your account.
You can't.
You're not on Facebook, and you're the vast minority. Facebook is simply, frankly, going with what it believes users want, and they predicted correctly over the years. The trend is, and will continue to be, people will share more because people are more comfortable with it. Privacy is going to be an outdated concept in the next couple of years as more and more of our lives focus around sharing what we're doing, making it easier to communicate back and forth. Is it troubling? Yes, but I frankly think of it more as an adjustment period. In 15 years, 10 years, we're going to wonder why we shared so little and how could we have survived with sharing so little. I think that's the direction the world is going.
Tiffany from Replicline. So
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi. So with Obama at LinkedIn, we all know that hiring is a huge thing. So what are your views on privacy and social screening with like hiring and recruiting?
If you are a
Wait, can I repeat that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been screwing these up. So, what is your view on privacy and screening in regards to hiring?
If I am a CEO, if I'm a company, I'm going to screen you for everything I can find publicly on the web. That's just the smart and logical thing to do. I have a responsibility to hire the best people. Privacy, it's not none of that's off limits. This is the new era. If you don't want something to reach the web, you have two choices. You either don't post it, or probably better, you don't do it. And that's the new paradigm.
We could clap for that. That was.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm serious.
My rule is I don't post anything that wouldn't want my mother to see. But the flip side is I'm more and more comfortable with my mother and other people seeing more of what I do, and that's what's going to happen generally overall. In terms of the job search, I think it's just fine. I think, frankly, that's employers need to figure out who they think the best candidates are, and it shows a lack of discipline if you are posting pictures of yourself drunk in a tutu at a bar somewhere. I've seen these pictures. They're scary.
Who are you looking at?
I just no comment on that.
Alex. You iOS engineers.
I'll repeat this one more time. I think privacy is an outdated concept. It is slowly seeping away. It will be something we don't think about as much in the future.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Done.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. You?
Excellent.
Anyway.
You seem hot up there with the lights on you. Anyway.
I am hot, yes. Thank you for noticing.
And this is one of our weirder events that we've ever had. Do you want to propose, or because now would be the time?
I'm going to stop you right now. No, continue.
So what you're saying is I need to be fake with what I share. I can't, if I like
No.
sadism, I can post it to my friends because you as my boss will judge me for that even though I'm the best coder out there.
Don't.
So the
Go, repeat the question.
So, yeah, about that. So the question is, will employers will judge us because we can't be who we really want to be online? Is that right?
I don't
is that
think,
fair?
I don't think that's the way. I think it's more don't be stupid. The real truth is, like, if you want to be who you want to be, you probably want to work for a company where you can be who you want to be. I think that's the most important thing. Some employers aren't going to like maybe somebody who wears more tattoos and has more piercings, but will fit in another culture and organization. I don't think you should hide who you are, but I also think a lot of people settle for a job, or they settle for a business partner, or they settle for a relationship, and because of that, then they have to hide what they share because they don't share those same values. Yeah, I say that in a way where I know it's very tough to get a job right now, But that's I guess the balance. If you're not in an organization where your values are the same as theirs, then yeah, you're gonna have to hide some stuff. That's how it's always been, though. The only difference is now you have a lot more opportunities to share what you're doing.
Yeah, I think too, like what you said a minute ago, is totally right. It's like you've got to have this perspective of more than like what I'm doing on Friday night. If you care about this stuff, if you don't care, then post whatever you want. But yeah, if you care what your grandkids, will see about you in 40 years, I think about that all the time. Like, do I want my grandkids to know that I poked XYZ person? At the moment, no.
How old are you anyway?
Yeah. Well, I've got a 12-year-old grandchild, so I'm worried about them. They're on. What?
No.
Yeah.
So are you? Did you find the Fountain of Youth? Because I would like some, please. Or crazy pills.
We have crazy pills at our startup. No, but like you got to have that perspective, right? Of what be aware of what you're doing and writing and what your presence is online.
Everything you say is recorded for future history.
Spencer, how many more questions do we have? Okay, 3 more questions. Yeah, Startup Alliance.
So, yeah, hey, I'm John Knapp. So what do you think of Google's real name policy with Google Plus? Talking about all this.
I understand why they did it. They didn't handle it right at all. They could have handled it much better. Frankly, I think maybe it would have been nicer if they had the ability to put maybe your nickname in the middle or something like that. I think there's a balance between their position and the position of pseudonyms. I mean, Twitter is the place for having whatever pseudonym you want. Facebook is the place for full real names. Google, I mean, their goal is to build this real name information graph, a social graph, to compete with Facebook. That's why they do the real name policy. I think really that is just that they could handle it better. I understand why they do the policy, though.
Yep.
I'm Tom. How do you look at semantic versus human created news, and what's your view on paywalls?
How do you look at semantic versus human created news? And what's your view on what?
Paywall? So let me quickly hit paywalls. There are good paywalls and there are bad paywalls. Wall Street Journal paywall is not terribly useful to anybody. You get it's. I remember reading this comparison. There's the comparison of the Buckingham Palace versus one of those little tiny fences in front of the garden where it says, "Please don't step on the grass." So a lot more people can enjoy the grass, and a lot more people maybe they're willing to pay to get in. A few people might step over the line, but not that many. The Buckingham Palace, some people like a giant fence wall, no one goes in. Everyone's like, I give up. I don't care. I consider the Buckingham Palace to be Wall Street Journal's paywall, and I consider New York Times paywall to be more that like you can step on the grass. The truth of the matter is that news organizations have to find ways to make money, and I understand why they put them up. But if you don't implement them in the right way, then your traffic drops and a lot less people read your content. And more important, like big stories, like the stories where reporters risk their lives to get the scoop behind a paywall that can't be shared. And the New York Times paywall, those stories will be allowed to be shared, and you can read the first 15 stories or so for free in a given month. I think that is a flexible model, and you almost feel compelled, like I feel like I should pay. And I think, and the numbers show so far that they've done decently well. I'm curious to see what the numbers go in the future. There's going to be a lot of tweaking to find the right one. In terms of, what do you mean exactly by semantic? Like generated content?
Yeah,
Machine-generated content. It's getting more. I've seen. I mean, there's. It's shocking, like how some of these programs can create maybe a sports story for Little League in that. There's a machine. There's a little bot that can take basic data from a Little League game and turn it into a basic story with, which reasonably well simulates a person writing the article with the key information. The thing is, machines cannot make the judgment calls, cannot make opinion, do not have that capability. They do not have reasoning. We might have a different conversation when there's artificial intelligence, and machines can reason. But until then, human content needs to remain king, and you need that analysis. You need that ability to dig down deeper into the numbers, into the information, and find the truth. And a machine cannot do that, and a human can.
Okay, last question.
I get the last question.
You
got
get
it.
the last question. You get like a. Does he get a candy bar or something? You get a
we-
high five.
So my question, my name is Rory Scott. My question is about where do you see the role in lobbying and government relations in kind of the web industry as we go forward? Because you said that privacy is an outdated policy, or it is an outdated concept. So do you see that more startups and more smaller companies are going to have to get involved in lobbying and things like that, or is that going to stay to the big dogs like Google and Microsoft?
Where do you see lobbying and in regards to privacy and other things going with web companies specifically?
So, what's always happened in the past, it's either big companies or a large coalition of small companies. They create an alliance, or they create a group, or they create a pack, or they create something. Because individually they're not strong enough, but collectively they may be. Is that necessary for the Valley? Frankly, probably would get better policies for the Valley if they had more representation. I understand why Facebook, for example, created their own PAC this week. They created their own PAC to go lobby in favor of social networking and sort of policies that help social networking. Yeah, government's not a fun game. Government.
Yeah, they're
I was
they're
a
playing the game, right?
You have to play in order to get what you want. That's just how it is. And I think you don't have to play, but you're better off if you find a way to play. It's not necessary, I don't think, right now for startups. But there are certain issues where if they banded together, maybe like startup visas comes right to mind. A stronger organization to band together. You can clap.
Yeah, okay. Let's applaud him for that. Alex. Freaking Apple employees. I mean, too, like another example is Yelp's CEO, Jeremy, going to Google or going to in front of Congress and talking about how Google has screwed them over. I mean, what a way to fight competition, right? I mean, you go before Congress and try to get them to react and get them to do something to help them out. I mean, it's playing the game.
Yeah,
Right?
politics. Yeah, politics really is a game, and they got asked to go up by the Justice Department to to testify and to talk about that the Google stuff. I don't know what else really to say about government beyond, man, is it inefficient. I wish it could be run like a startup.
Let's give Ben a round of applause.